Hey folks, and welcome back to the I Am CDB project. Of course, I'm your host CDB. You are not, and we're going to do a shaving video today. And today we're going to use WSP, or Wet Shaving Products, shaving cream. This one is Gaelic Tweed. It has argan and aloe. It is 6 ounces for $24.99, or about $4.16 an ounce. That's over the $4. $4 is usually the mark where we begin to classify an artisan soap as a little more expensive, but this is a cream. It's a little more difficult to make, so $4, a little over $4 per ounce is not bad. It's filled all the way to the top, so you're getting a full 6 ounces. Scent on this is a green Irish Tweed type scent. Scent on this is a little on the underside for me. I'm calling it about 4 to 4.5, a little under medium. Ideally, I'd like to have a little more scent strength. The consistency of this cream is like a very soft soap, so it's more like a cream soap or a crope. It is creamy. It's not the least bit hard, but it's not like if you think of creams and you think of Tobs or something like that, it's not nearly that soft or not nearly that, I don't want to say watery, but it doesn't have quite as much moisture as some of the creams. This, of course, is an artisan cream. There aren't a ton of artisan cream. I'm aware of just a handful. Irina makes them. I'm forgetting the name of her company. I apologize, but if you look up Irina Marchu, Ginger's Garden, she makes a very good cream, artisan cream also. So we're going to go with this today and see how we do. And again, I really like that this is in a plastic container. The other WSP shaving soaps are in tins, and I got a ton of them that were dented and banged up, and I quit using them. I just said, you know, I'm not paying retail prices for dented products. I want my products to come looking good so I can show them, and I can feel good about using them. And after getting like 3 or 4 in a row, I said, I'm done, and I chucked them out in the bamboo. But this is in a plastic tub. It seals tight, so it's going to help keep that moisture in. So big thumbs up to WSP for that. Okay, also today we're going to use the Rex. I've been getting a lot of emails about the Rex. We'll start on 3.5, and I want to give you an update on this razor, because that's what I'm here to do, is update you as I learn, as things go along. Let me just go ahead and wet the face here while I'm talking to you and stir up my WSP mix. I'm using the timeless bowl, as we see here. Now, one thing I want to note at the onset here is I dropped my bowl with the soap in it in the sink, so it got a little more water than I would like in it. So if my mix is a little watery, it's not because of the cream, it's because of me, because I got way too much water in it. But we're going to see how it handles it and go with it. I'm using the Envy Shave 8 Ball, which is a tremendous brush, one of my absolute favorites. And this feels quite nice. It lathers up easily. It kind of breaks down into parts a little bit as you take some out of your bowl. I don't recommend that you ever put a brush in your cream with water in it. You don't want to get, I don't recommend, you know me, that you do it in your soap either, because I have established myself that getting water inside of shaving soap tubs over time will have a detrimental effect on your soap. It did on mine. That's a fact. That's not just my opinion. It did. I witnessed it, and I've seen what it does. So anyway, I don't recommend you get water inside of any of these tubs. I recommend you scoop the product out and lather it in a separate vessel. However, it's your product. Do what you want with it, but I'm just sharing with you my experience. Anyway, this soap, when you take it out, it sort of breaks into pieces. Again, it's not particularly creamy like Tobs or True Fit and Hill or Castle Forbes, but it does lather nicely. I used the barbershop version yesterday. It's a good performer, and at 25 bucks for 6 ounces, not a bad price. It's not the cheapest, but again, more difficult to make. And you know, of course, it comes in our plastic tub, which we're really happy about. So I would say on this one, I'm getting a little more. I can pick up the scent a little more now. It's right at that 4.5 level, so it's just a little under medium, but don't expect super strong scent, at least from this one. The barbershop had considerably more scent strength. All right, so here we are with our Rex. And I got a text from a gentleman yesterday who said he was so happy with the Rex, and he said it's one of the best investments he's ever made. And I told him, like I'm going to tell you now, and this is probably 100% me. I want to make that clear at the onset, because I don't want a bunch of people going, oh, he talked about how great it was, and then he then changed his mind. I have not changed my mind on this razor, but one of the things I'm noticing is there are times where I feel a little more drag when I'm using this razor than I do others. And it's probably my technique and the angle that I'm using. Again, I want to make sure I'm abundantly clear about that, because as far as I know, no one else has had this problem, but there are times where I feel like, you know, it's dragging a little. It's not moving it's not gliding as much as it should. And again, that's most likely my angle, because I actually tried this side by side with the Regress on the same soap base, and the Regress was just whipping right through it. And this one, I'm getting just a little bit more drag in certain areas, and I'm chalking it up to my angle of attack and my style of shaving. I don't change my style of shaving typically, but there are certain razors where you have to find that proper angle, and this might be one. So I just want you all to be aware of this. Is for me, I've noticed as I've used it, and I've used it a lot because I really like it. It is a tremendous shaver, but I have noticed just a little bit of drag. So I wanted to point that out. Now I'll touch on it a little more as we go. Let me just rinse the face while we're talking here rather than pausing. We'll just kind of use some of that soap there. It's in the, yeah, good enough. All right, let's wipe the hands off and we'll re-lather. Anyhow, it's just something I've noticed, and it's not the soap. It's probably the way I'm using this razor. But if anybody else encounters that, I just want you to know you're not alone. I've had the same issue, and it's probably my angle of attack. I'm used to doing similar things with most razors, and some razors you have to come in at either a more shallow or a steeper angle. And so I still am enjoying this razor very much. It is beautiful. It is well made. It's expensive, but really wonderful razor. In fact, like I was saying at the onset, a guy texted me yesterday who I really like. I won't mention his name because he didn't give me permission to. But he was like, man, I love this thing. Thank you. One of the best investments I've made in the shaving hobby. And so I'm so glad when people try something and they really like it and they're pleased and they like it like I do. But on the same token, when new information comes to light, I will share it with you, just like on the One Blade. At one time, the One Blade was my favorite razor. Now it's no longer here. And I don't think I've done a video explaining that whole thing, but perhaps I will. I'm going to turn this up a little bit. Let's go 4.5 now. You know, once I started experimenting with carts, I realized that the One Blade really didn't do much that carts did. Now I know the One Blade enthusiasts are going to say I'm full of it, but I'm just telling you. I said, my goodness. First of all, those proprietary blades, I learned that I just didn't like them at all. They were good for one shave at best, and of course that's the way it's advertised, but man, I don't really like that unless you have an old version where you can use a gem. See, I'm getting some drag right now, and it's probably me. But normally I can take a razor, just glide over that. There is some residual slickness there, but I think what it is I'm using too much pressure. I don't usually use a lot of pressure, but I think perhaps what you have to do with this razor is let the weight of the razor do the work, which is generally the rule. But you get used to using razors a particular way, and then if you have to change it, you have to be cognizant of it. And so, like right here where I'm just sort of letting the weight, it's going perfectly. So I would say that it's on me. I'm using a little pressure. And so I think I've discovered, or at least I hope, that's what my issue has been. Still love the razor, but just be aware, either the angle or using too much pressure. It's got some heft to it, so you don't really need to use pressure. So I'll just be aware of that. Let me get some water here to rinse a little bit, or just take that soap and sort of roll it in here instead of pausing and rinsing. We'll just keep going. This is one of the things that, you know, that I've always been happy to do, is I'll come back, and if I'm wrong, I'll come back and share it and let you know. There's not too much pride here to say you're wrong. And so we definitely wanted to come back today and talk about the wrecks and some of the, you know, challenges that I've had with it this past couple of weeks. Initially, I didn't notice it as much, but I started using it day after day because I really wanted to give it a workout. And this is why you really have to try things, you know, for quite some time, because some of these things aren't immediately apparent. Now, like on build quality, you can tell when a razor's well built. And if you get a great shave, you get a great shave. But as you use it, you'll learn about the nuances of the razor and all that. The cream, by the way, is quite good. Quality-wise, no issues at all. As you can see, it lathers, you know, just fine. And it's quite good. So, for the price, I'd say check it out. This scent, like I said again, not super fragrant. That would be the one downside. But apart from that, I'd say pretty doggone good. So let's use a very light touch and just let the weight of this razor do the work and see how this glides. And yeah, that's better. So I think, as I said at the onset, I think it might be me. It certainly might be me. So what I'm used to doing, and you see here on camera all the time, is with that residual slickness, I'll go back over. And what I was noticing is, with the wrecks, some drag, but I think I was just simply using too much pressure. So see, you can be wrong. You can learn after 5 years. You can learn after 10 years. And I've learned, I think, something today about this razor, to just simply let the weight of the razor do the work, which is generally the rule. But you get into habits in the way that you shave, and if you're used to muscling the razor a little bit, which, you know, you're generally not supposed to, may not work for every razor. Now, that said, this is not a one-size-fits-all hobby. Some people have to use a little bit of pressure, but generally the rule is not to do so. And I think what I've learned here is I've been using maybe a little bit of pressure with some of the lighter aluminum razors and so forth, and I've gotten accustomed to maybe muscling it just a little bit. And so that may not necessarily work with this razor. So perhaps we've learned something together today, and it doesn't bother me the least bit to come back and make corrections and admit when I make mistakes, because I certainly still will. And that's something we do here often on this channel. Okay, let me rinse and we'll come back and get into the post. Stay tuned. All right, and here we are back with the Thayers. And don't worry, I have another two bottles of this. Magic, because it's made by witches. I have another 2 bottles of that waiting in the wings, so have no fear. This one is done. It has been the case with many a bottle of Thayers. I tell you what I'm going to use for aftershave today, although I'm not going to use it now because I'm going to do a head shave. Sharp Dressed Man, which will match nicely with this Gaelic Tweed. And I'll do that after I get out of the shower, because I'm going to get in a head shave and take a shower. So the wrecks. I continue to be happy with the wrecks. I think during the course of this shave, I have discovered my issues. So take that under advisement. Make sure you're using, just letting the weight of the razor do the work, which is, again, generally the rule. But sometimes you develop habits, and I don't care whether you've been doing it 5, 6 years. or 2 months or 10 years, you can fall into habit. So I think I've found the solution to that problem. I'm really still loving this razor. The Envy Shave 8 Ball is phenomenal. Great razor by Nathan Clark, Sharp Dressed Man. And of course, WSP Gaelic Tweed. Good in quality, filled all the way up. I really like the way the skin feels after using this. It has argan oil and aloe. 6 ounces artisan cream. If you want something with a little more scent, try the Barbershop. This one's a little less. This one's definitely under 5. I think the Barbershop is over. I used that one this morning. But overall, nice product, plastic tub, thumbs up. I want to thank everybody for joining me once again. Until next time, I've been your host, CDB. You were not. God bless.